History warns us. Imagine waking up tomorrow to the sound of sirens, not from a nearby fire or a weather alert, but from an emergency broadcast warning of a global military escalation, World War III. Not fiction, not distant speculation, but now. But before we dive into what would happen, let's turn to what already did, because the path to tomorrow's war is paved with yesterday's mistakes and history. History never forgets. World War I began with a single assassination. World War II started with a bold invasion. Both conflicts began with localized tensions that exploded due to alliances, miscalculations, and national pride. And both wars were fueled by alliances, ideologies, and economic desperation. In 1914, Europe was a web of treaties. Austria-Hungary struck Serbia. Russia mobilized. Germany declared war. France, Britain, and others followed. Within weeks, the globe was at war, triggered by one shot in Sarajevo. In 1939, Hitler invaded Poland. Britain and France responded. The world again plunged into chaos. Now, more than 80 years later, have we learned? Both sides built nuclear arsenals capable of ending human civilization. Yet somehow, we survived it. Or are we standing on the same historical landmines, just with bigger weapons? After World War II ended, the world didn't breathe easy. It froze. The Cold War began. A geopolitical chess match between the United States and the Soviet Union, lasting nearly half a century. Close calls like the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 brought us within hours of total nuclear war. We only made it through because of communication, bacchanals, and frankly, luck. Today, the Cold War is over, but the arsenals remain, and new tensions have taken their place. Let's now imagine the unthinkable. World War III begins tomorrow. Where would it start? 1. Taiwan Strait, China versus the West. If China invades Taiwan, viewing it as a breakaway province, the United States is likely to intervene militarily. Japan, Australia, the Philippines, and NATO allies may follow. Boom! Global engagement. A direct military strike could suck in the US, Saudi Arabia, and Hezbollah-backed forces from across the region. 2. Ukraine and NATO. Russia's red line if NATO sends troops directly into Ukraine, or if Russia strikes a NATO country like Poland or the Baltics, Article 5 is triggered. An attack on one is an attack on all. Suddenly, Europe is on fire again. 3. Middle East, Iran, Israel, and beyond. Tensions between Israel and Iran are at boiling point. 3 conflicts, 3 powder kegs. All it takes is one spark. Deep fakes of presidents making fake announcements. A digital fog of war descends. If war begins tomorrow, the first 72 hours won't look like D-Day landings or trench warfare. It'll look more like science fiction. Massive air stealth bombers, hypersonic missiles, and long-range drones will strike airfields, satellite uplinks, communication centers, and missile silos. Cyberattacks, entire power grids may go dark. Banking systems, hospitals, and internet infrastructure will be crippled. Without a single bullet fired, social media, blitzkrieg AI-generated propaganda floods TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Global panic. Markets crash. Civilians rush to supermarkets. Airports fill with desperate families trying to leave. Governments activate martial law protocols. Let us break down the likely alliances and what history tells us about how they would play out. NATO bloc, USA, UK, France, Germany, Poland, Canada, Australia, Japan, South Korea, advanced air power, cyber warfare dominance, and global naval presence. Hundreds of military bases worldwide. Eastern Bloc, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Belarus, possibly Pakistan, massive manpower, growing military tech, control over major shipping routes and energy pipelines. But it's not just about size. It's about geography, ideology, and resilience. Just like World War II, the early months may show fast gains by aggressive powers. But history teaches us, wars of attrition change everything. The biggest question in a modern global war isn't who fires first. It's will they fire at all. Right now, 9 nations possess nuclear weapons. The US and Russia alone have over 11,000 warheads combined. The concept of mutually assured destruction means that if one side launches, both sides die. But in a fast-moving war, mistakes happen. All it takes is one hacked radar system, one false missile warning, one leader pushed too far. Just like Stanislav Petrov in 1983, the Soviet officer who refused to launch nukes on what turned out to be a false alarm. Our future may rest on one person's hesitation. During COVID-19, we saw what happens when shipping slows down. Now imagine every major shipping port, from Shanghai to Rotterdam, shut down. No oil, no food, no medicine, no tech. Developing nations collapse first, then the rest follow. In a large-scale war, this becomes standard and terrifying. The global economy doesn't just struggle, no emotion, no humanity, just like during the Great Depression, but multiplied by a billion-dollar-minute war. World War III won't just be fought by soldiers, it'll be fought by algorithms. AI drones deciding who to strike, autonomous tanks patrolling borders, robotic submarines hunting enemy fleets. It's no longer science fiction. The US, China, and Israel are already deploying AI targeting systems. No mercy, no emotion, no humanity, just code. The biggest victims? Civilians, cities bombed, refugee crises across continents, hospitals overwhelmed. Hysteria repeats itself, but without the resources to rebuild. Schools turned into shelters. This isn't just about soldiers or strategy. This is about families, caught between history and horror. We've seen this before. In Dresden, Nagasaki, Aleppo, Gaza, Kyushu. We just never thought we'd see it everywhere. All at once, eventually, even the most brutal wars burn out. But how would World War III conclude? 1. Diplomatic truce through factional talks, nuclear standoffs, and sheer desperation. A ceasefire is reached. Nations are broken, but not annihilated. 2. Total collapse. If escalation continues unchecked, society crumbles, governments fall. Entire regions become lawless. 3. New world order out of the ashes. A new global alliance may form, like the United Nations post-WW2, but with stricter AI controls, nuclear disarmament, and international surveillance. But no matter the outcome, the scars would last generations. I'll hear. The truth is, history doesn't predict the future, but it rhymes. It warns us. It begs us not to make the same choices that led to Sarajevo, to Pearl Harbor, to Hiroshima. World War III isn't inevitable, it's avoidable, but only if we listen to history and to each other. Because if we don't, tomorrow may become a chapter in someone else's history book, one written in ash.